And we are live. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for another business event, number 8 now at Tesla Nation. This is Aleks. Today, I'm your host, and I wanted to immediately introduce you to a really good friend of mine, Sam Busick.
Pleasure to meet everybody.
Yes, we have a great story for you guys, how we met. But first things first, business. Why are we here today? As you guys remember, the beginning of the year, we actually had a lot of presentations about how to expand your business in the United States. We talked about sales, we talked about marketing, we talked about procurement. And when we talked to our hosts at Tesla Nation and started, which we definitely want to say thank you for having us again. What else can we do here? What can bring a lot of value? I mean, we talked to some of you guys, people expressed interest to do some role play, to bring the real life scenarios. So today we want to talk about sales and role plays in the United States, from initiating a sales interest, how to close it, and then how to follow up. Now, I want to set the stage. Just one of these topics, how to initiate sales, could be a workshop on its own, like for a full day,
exactly.
maybe a whole week.
Yeah.
We're going to try to do this little housekeeping. We're going to try to do this in an hour. Let me stay with the housekeeping. We also want to encourage you to ask us a lot of questions. I was just talking to Sam and our awesome crew. I want to thank him for setting us up here. Ask questions. We want to make this as interactive as possible. How many presentations you hear people say, like, I want to make this interactive, and they just keep going on. Please ask questions. We're going to pause. We're going to answer your questions. We want you guys to learn. But again, what we are going to do today, we will talk to you about how to initiate our sales, how to close, how to follow up in the United States. A lot of you are trying to expand. And the good news is each one of these 3 topics, we're actually going to dive in a little bit deeper in future presentations. So more to come with each one of these topics. But you know what, Sam, we were talking about before we get into our agenda, I think we should tell our audience how we met. I think that story in itself is very, very interesting. Let me set the stage, and then I'm going to shut up and you can shine too. But as some of you guys know, I spent a lot of time in New York. I kind of live between Tampa, Florida, and New York, and I come often to Serbia because we are doing some very cool things on the cybersecurity side. We also helping some companies expand in the US. And last year in New York, probably a lot of you remember, if you're tennis fans, if you're sports fans, you know, it was very hard to miss. It was a big event. Novak Djokovic was playing the US Open Finals against Andrei Medvedev. And that deemed to be the biggest tennis match, maybe the biggest sporting event in the history of the world, because Novak had a chance to, you know, just become the biggest tennis player, maybe the biggest athlete in the world. He still is for us, for all of us. But long story short, me and my brother, we went to the US Open Finals, and we wanted to watch Novak Djokovic, cheer for him. There was a lot of Serbian fans. Actually, whole New York was cheering for Novak. We took our seats, and the first thing I saw, actually, you were on my right.
Right.
There's this guy, really passionate about Novak, cheering up for him, and he had a Serbian flag. We had to wear masks at that time. COVID was still very relevant. He had a Serbian flag on his face. And then what happened, Sam?
Well, to be honest, I didn't want to talk to anybody at the event, but I'm actually really glad that you sat next to me, Aleks. Unfortunately, it was a brutal match, but surely enough, the sales guys we turned a negative into a positive, and here we are today. So.
Yeah, and there's another detail. The match, unfortunately, was lost. But Sam is he's going to have a chance to tell you a little bit about his bio. He's a big baseball fan.
Oh, yeah.
He played baseball throughout his life. Right next to the US Open Final Stadium was a big derby. Think about Crvena Zvezda Partizan in soccer, in football. Well, Yankees were playing the Mets. You know, this is 2 New York baseball teams. And we were like, you know what? Let's get to know each other a little bit more. So we quickly got the tickets, you know. We got it through an app.
Yeah.
You know, maybe some of you are developing apps, you know, you could do a little bit better job than SeatGeek. You know, it took us a little while.
Yeah.
So, you know, just 1 hour after the tennis match, we were at the baseball stadium. doing
talking business as well. Talking business as well.
Getting beers and eating hot dogs, but definitely talking business. And I actually mentioned to Sam, I have this cool thing going on in Belgrade that Tesla Nation has started, where we are preparing Serbian companies to expand in US. So here we are. Great things can happen even from, probably not the greatest day for Serbian tennis for Novak, but we made the most of it. So, okay, now throughout this presentation, as you guys probably know, if this is the first time you're attending one of these, we are going to draw a lot of references from the movies, but really what we want to hone in, and you might recognize some of the faces here. We got Leonardo DiCaprio here, but we really want to talk about the sales tactics and role plays. We really want you to get out of this with a couple of what we say in the United States, aha moments, like, oh, I wish I could do that. I'm going to try that on the next call. We want to get you closer to that opportunity. We want to get you closer to that sale. And let's not kid ourselves. It's all about revenue at the end of the day. But in order to get to revenue, you got to have some tactics. So first movie reference here, we got Wolf of the Wall Street. This is Leonardo DiCaprio playing Jordan Belfort. If you guys have seen the movie, he does have this amazing scene where it actually appears a couple of times where he says, "Sell me this pen." And the idea is you got to create demand, right? And the best way to sell, as Jordan Belfort says, you have to earn the awareness. You got to get the attention of your buyer, right? Do I have your attention? You also have to get the credibility and respect. And with that comes trust. And when the trust is established and the need is established, that's when they're going to buy. So we want to help you get to that point and really understand American culture and what's going on in the States. You guys are running some amazing companies here. I want to give shout out to our friends from Cesium, Maya and Darko, King Solver, Peja and Darko. There's some amazing companies. You guys are crushing it in Europe. A lot of things that you're doing here can absolutely translate in the United States. But we want to give you some of those key differences that American buyer, that the process of sales process in America can have a little bit different in Europe. Sometimes a lot different, right? So we want to point out to those. So kudos to a lot of you. Build amazing companies. I'm in awe where the Serbian IT scene is. And there's some people there getting on that path, and I'm sure you guys are going to be successful. Sometimes the missing piece is you want to extend your, quality of the product, your sales, your market to the United States, and we want to help you with that. Okay, so agenda for today's sales training. We want to talk about how to initiate sales. We want to talk to you about a little bit about cold calling and prospecting, but the big theme today it's role plays. So we're going to do role plays with initiating sales, with closing the deals, and then nurturing and following up, right? So I'm going to be calling Sam, and we're going to be showing like a wrong way, and then Sam, being a great salesperson he is, he's going to critique me and say, "Alex, why don't you do this next time you call me?" Then I'm going to do just the same. I'm going to actually apply the tactics that Sam teaches me, and then I'm going to do it the right way. So hopefully I can get that sale. It's not easy to sell to Sam, but I'm going to try.
Well, selling is acting, and you know that. Selling, you do have to do some acting. You have to follow the prospect. So we will dive into that.
All right. Looking forward to it. Before that, I'm actually going to skip. I want to be a good host here. I'm going to skip my bio. I'm going to come back to the bio because I heard we got some new callers, a new audience. Thank you guys for joining us. We really appreciate your time. But I want to give Sam a chance to introduce himself. Give us your bio, Sam. Besides being a big Novak Djokovic fan, a big baseball fan, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, just been in the software service, security, sales, IT sales for the last 8+ years in the States primarily. I'm based in Phoenix, Arizona. So I think from 8 years ago to now, the prospects have changed a lot. Through COVID, the interactions have changed a lot. And it's important than ever right now to really be focused and have a good script in front of you and be able to deliver your message in a short amount of time. Because as everybody, I'm sure on this call, on this meeting is busy. So just 8+ years of software as a sales background. Currently sit as a director for a company based in California.
Right. If I may, what are you doing in Belgrade? Besides hanging out with me, with these awesome people that started in Tesla Nation.
I would say the weather. Today's a little hot out, but we save our vacation days in Arizona to leave the desert in June, July. So I always love coming here, and Aleks, really credit to you for the background of how tech savvy, how tech rich Europe and specifically Serbia is. So really nice meeting everybody. I know we're on video, but please feel free to ask us questions throughout, or ask us to stop and ask why we said that, or why we do that. So
I do want to add one more thing. When we look at the bio, our audience is looking at your bio. There is one thing that you also do. You're the chairperson of ServFest in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm going to ask you what is a ServFest, but I know because I actually went to one. I actually went to a few all over the States, but I definitely went to those. Sam invited me, being a great host after we met. No joke, he said, you got to come to the ServFest in Phoenix, Arizona. Just in a few words, what is a ServFest about, and what do you do as a chairperson?
Well, I think I gained more gray hairs since ServFest on my photo there. So it's a fundraiser for our church. We support all the churches in the area. Serbian churches in the area. And, I have to give it back to you, Aleks, and his PreCog Security was actually made a donation. He was a silver sponsor this year. So based off my short period, everybody hit up Aleks for a sponsor this year. Make sure everybody hits up Aleks for a sponsor.
It's called the new shameless plug-in. But guys, this is the best way to describe in Serbian. We use a word "vašar," but in a very stylish, sophisticated way. Serbians from that region and all over the country come there. There's Serbian music, there's Serbian food, and I love when Americans come there and learn about the culture, learn about Serbian, and it was a lot of fun. But I'll give you one more a piece of credit. There was actually a station where this gentleman, and he was an American. He was talking about Tesla and his innovations, and there was a lot of kids. Serbian American kids learn about Tesla, his beginnings, how he, changed the way we obviously use electricity and all that good stuff. Yeah,
that was awesome. It's right in our cultural center. He sits and does a 12-hour session as people walk in and just talks about Tesla. But also, too, as you were there, Aleks, it was a great networking event as well. There's many companies that sponsor, and just a good time to network, from the automotive industry to retail to trucking companies, healthcare. It's just a very generous group of people that support us. So very happy to be associated with it.
Awesome. So if you guys are in the area, I think this year is going to be in November. I'm going to try to attend. Okay, great. So Aleks, some of you guys already seen this slide, but again, a little bit about my bio. I was actually born in Novi Sad. I came to the States 30 plus years ago. I played tennis. I got lucky. I got scholarships in high school and then college. And I got into IT, close to 17 years now. I work for, I started in cybersecurity. I stayed in cybersecurity. That's really my forte. And I, saw it firsthand how it can happen in the US. A lot of you guys are building amazing companies with a product, SaaS product. Well, I worked for a SaaS company, MXLogic, that got acquired by McAfee in 2009. And then Intel acquired McAfee. So MXLogic, the company I started with, 150 employees. And then, a few years later, I'm working for McAfee, that has 10,000 employees. It was a Fortune 500 company. And then Intel acquires McAfee. It was a Fortune 10 company. And it happened right away, really quickly, from making calls for MXLogic to having a meeting in Mountain View with the Intel executives. My forte, I think we should mention this. I'm very bullish when I do this presentation. And your forte is channel. I stayed in channel and distribution. I cannot stress enough to Serbian companies trying to expand in US. You have to have strategic partners, and just partnerships and different levels of partnership. That could be a workshop for a full day. We're going to touch on it a little bit today, but I definitely want to have one just full presentation just about different ways you can partner in the States. It's not just a referral, but it can be much more sophisticated, from system integrators, value-added resellers, service providers, and all that stuff. I started PreCog Security in 2017 with my colleague from McAfee, David Berry, and I'm also chapter manager for Florida Serbian Entrepreneur Group. Serbian Entrepreneurs, you guys probably heard of it. We are paid forward helping Serbian startups expand globally, mostly in the Western Hemisphere. We do have chapters in Novi Sad, Belgrade, London. but a lot of values from the chapters in US. I'm a chapter for Miami, chapter lead for Miami, but then we have chapters in New York, Toronto, and San Francisco. Currently, we are working with some of our people here in Belgrade. We want to create a North American roadshow. Some of you guys are going to have a chance to come and present in Miami, in New York, in Toronto. We want to put you in front of the correct VCs, right audience, potentially clients and partners. But then I noticed that we still need to go even deeper and further and be more strategic. So we created what we call business development as a service platform. It's a fairly new company. IT does it. With boots on the ground, US salespeople that can help you expand your services and product. And Sam is actually our partner there too. And we are helping some companies already from Serbia expand their, finding them targeted leads, but at the same time teaching them about American culture, American sales process, partnerships, and all those kind of things. All right. Well, we gotta get into this role play, right? So first one is gonna be initiate. Everything starts with initiating the interest, and cold calling versus prospecting. This is the reference, as you guys can see the movie. I don't know how many of you guys remember the Wall Street, the original one. It was 1987, Oliver Stone. And we had Charlie Sheen trying to get a meeting with the Gordon Gekko. One thing I really liked about this movie, and even though it was in 1987, cold calling, I guess, still works, because I still get a lot of cold calls.
Yeah, same here. Same here. Yeah.
So it still works. Some people are saying like, "Oh my God, who's calling?" I get a lot of calls. Even when I'm in Serbia, I get calls. And what I like to do, and this is how I actually started my sales career, right out of college. Actually, I was just finishing up college. My first job was I worked for a company that was doing surveys for HBO and Showtime. So we would call across the United States in the middle of the night, and we would call people, asking them 45 minutes, sometimes an hour of their time, to tell us what they think about Sopranos, 6 Feet Under. And, I started learning a little bit how to do these cold calls. But again, some of you guys, we talk to you, and I know that you're hiring business development managers, business development reps, and they're calling prospects. Some of you guys, running companies, you're calling prospects. So we want to start this first role play with cold calling and prospecting. I guess we should maybe explain a little bit of difference between cold calling and prospecting. I would say cold calling is when you get a list. This is what Charlie Sheen was doing. You get a list of names and phone numbers, and you're calling, and you have no idea what this person does. I guess in 1987, when this movie was done, you didn't have LinkedIn, you didn't have internet, you couldn't research your target. I would tell people, if you're making cold calls now, try to add a little bit of intelligence. You can do a lot of prospecting online, learn about this person. Even if they never talk to you, try to learn about their role, try to learn about their industry, try to find some of the hot topics that would interest them, right? So, but at the end of the day, it's a numbers game.
Yeah, absolutely. And cold calling, essentially, I look at it as a means to an end. And, do you know when the best time to make a cold call is?
When is it? Probably 6 o'clock in the afternoon when people are home.
When you least want to. And if anybody could take that from this meeting today, that's one thing that I've really used over my career, is the best time to make a cold call is when you least want to. I've had an opportunity before where I was knocking on doors, selling software, and it was hot out in Arizona, and I was going to get back into my car, and I had that philosophy. The best time to make a cold call is when you least want to. Well, I got out of my car, knocked on the door, introduced myself. 6 months later, I made the sale. So with that mentality, the best time to make a cold call is when you least want to.
That's it. Yeah, because if you wait like when you want to, it's never going to happen.
Correct.
It's not an easy thing. It's not. But you have to do it sometimes. And like I said, I know that some of these companies, that do have business development reps. Hopefully they're listening today. Hopefully they can transfer some of this knowledge. So we want to talk about that, what they can do to put themselves in the best position to get that appointment, right? So this is the next slide. I cannot stress how important it is. Don't try to sell a product in the service on that first call. It might happen, but right now, when you made that cold call, when you're prospecting, you're really pushing for 15 minutes, 50 to 30 minutes of the time you're setting an appointment, right? It's a little bit of a different ball game, right? Yes, you do have to tell what your service does. You do have to tell what your product does, but at the same time, keep in mind you're setting an appointment with that initial call.
And if I can elaborate on that, I think oftentimes as tech savvy people try to sell, I've seen this, and I do this sometimes too, is where we use these buzzwords right early on in the conversation, where you might use a word like SD-WAN, voice over IP.
Right.
And I think sometimes that, by doing that, it discredits it and you lose the prospect. So I always tell my reps that work for me is don't use buzzwords up front. And the buzzwords can just be a comfortable way to express your meaning. But have you?
I totally agree. We actually going to be talking about that, some of the do's and don'ts. But I tell people, don't use the jargon. Yeah. Try to relate to the person. Understand. A lot of times the decision makers and people going to sign the check, they're not going to be as technical, right? So you do have to make it simple. I put it here. You got to be polite. You got to be interesting, knowledgeable, confident, and credible. So if those things happen, you got a chance to actually set an appointment. So let me go over some don'ts and do's, and let's jump into the role play. So some of the don'ts. How are you doing today? I don't like that. I still hear that. I would rather hear thanks for taking my call and just get into the pitch. So we will practice that. Don't excuse yourself. Right. I'm sorry for bothering you. If you say that, I'm sorry for bothering you today, but I want to sell you the service. You're not confident, right? We talked about you got to be confident. You got to be credible. Don't have or ask. It's not a good time. As soon as you're asking, it's never a good time, right? Get into the pitch. Get into the value. Nobody's gonna say it's a good time. Don't have the monologue. Question. And yes, we got a question.
Yeah,
I love it.
Does it pop on yours?
Yeah, it didn't pop on mine, but. Can we read it? I don't see it on mine.
So is there an alternative way to set up sales appointment besides cold calling?
So the question is, great question. And can you say the name of the person, please? Mark is asking, is there an alternative way to set up appointments besides cold calling and prospecting? Absolutely. When I say cold calling or prospecting, when I'm prospecting, it can happen anywhere. It can happen on LinkedIn. It can happen on email, right? So lately, we've seen some amazing stories that can happen on LinkedIn. So absolutely, you can reach out to people any way you can, right? Emails are good. LinkedIn message. Americans love LinkedIn, guys. Please brush up on your LinkedIn profiles. And sometimes if you know the person, if you meet a person at the event, right? They're okay if you reach out to them with a text.
Yeah.
Too.
And I've even seen cards. I don't know if the distribution from Europe to the States, but if you're just going to somebody down the street from you, I've noticed cards have worked. I mean, sometimes I think people appreciate the easiest way. So great question. There's a plethora of ways to do it.
Right.
And I think Aleks hit that.
And what we show you here, guys, use that, whether it's a LinkedIn, whether it's an email. We're not just talking like, oh, you gotta make a phone call. Phone calls still happen, but obviously there are absolute more alternative ways. I prefer alternative ways. I like to reach out to people on LinkedIn, like to prospect them, research them a little bit, and try to find value how to set an appointment. Is there another question? Okay. So some do's, smile and dial. We like to say that, or smile and write an email, or smile and call. You have to really, when you're smiling, it comes across you're more genuine, right? You're more positive, so people respond to that. You want to really master your 15-second pitch. A lot of times when I'm asking companies here what they do, they can boil it down in 15 or 30-second elevator pitch, right? People are struggling, and it's not just here. It's a common thing that people are trying to boil down in 15 seconds what you do. Be able to do that, and add a couple of 2 or 3 values. Again, you cannot go into a long monologue. 2 or 3 sentences, 2 or 3 value adds whether you're calling, whether you're regional LinkedIn, that's going to come across, that you're respectful of their time and space. But I think the big one is, and we're going to do the role play now, it's asking questions and starting the conversations, right? So another thing that I'm going to leave here, if you're making calls, learn how to leave voicemails, right? But, I would say the big thing we do is asking questions.
Do you know how I leave a voicemail?
How do you leave a voicemail, Sam?
This is Sam Busick. Important that we talk. Call me back at 740-632, number. I
like that.
Short and to the point sometimes.
I love it.
They have no idea, but
sense of urgency.
They have no idea and they call me back.
So let's repeat that. If you're leaving a voicemail.
Sam Busick, important that we talk. Call me back at 740-632-2505.
I would definitely call. If somebody will leave me that kind of voicemail, I would definitely call. And it's not a trickery. I mean, they're going to call you, and when they call you, what do you tell them as soon as they call you?
Ask him and just remind me, hey, you know what? I've been super busy lately. Can you remind me what you do again?
And then you get into the
correct. Thing. It gives you that point of pausing too, so you can regather. So
I like that.
Because that's a great point. Is when they do call you back, will they be startled? Not necessarily. There may be that one person, but it gets you a call back. It gets the conversation flowing, and we'll dive into the script later.
Right.
But that's been my number one voicemail.
I'm actually taking a note. I actually tend to leave a little bit, a little bit of value in who I am. But this is a great point. Maybe I should try that. This is, guys. We are learning from each other, right? One thing that I can tell you, you have to humble yourself. I humble myself daily. I'm going to learn something from Sam here today too. Please humble yourself. Keep learning, keep expanding. Keep working on this craft, because it is a craft to have a great sales skills. Role play. We've been talking a lot about it, right? So let's set the stage here. Let's just make it simple. Aleks LLC. I'm going to be, I guess I could have been Aleks DOO, which is a Serbian, way of saying the LLC. But Aleks LLC, I'm a Serbian company, kind of like typical here. Let's say I have 30 engineers, software developers, right? I'm calling across, or I'm, emailing across, or reaching out across United States, and I would love to sell the service of building a website, building a solution, building a mobile app. And Sam, he's my target, and he's going to be, let's say, in the automotive industry.
Okay,
right?
Sounds good.
You are, let's say. Do we want to go with CTO or Chief Operating Officer?
Well, that's a great question to start.
Right.
And it goes back to the conversation. Well, I believe that I only take no from the person that writes the check. So, respect to all the CTOs, controllers, VPs, until I hear the no from the person that actually signs the check, the CEO, I don't stop.
Right.
So for now, let's just focus on Sam. I'll be the CEO though.
All right. Let's be the CEO. All right, cool. All right, this is how we do the role play. You guys should understand, in US, when you're part of the sales department, you do this all the time. So we do this thing where I'm going to be doing like a ring, and we're going to be planning on making a phone call. Let's not make a contact, but we're trying to make it as real life as possible. So this first one is kind of like a runway. Okay, ring.
Hi, this is Sam from Red Tire.
Hey, Sam, this is Aleks from LLC. Did I catch you at a bad time?
Run a little bit late. Have a meeting here shortly.
Okay, well, I'm calling from, again, Aleks LLC, and we are IT outsourcing company from Belgrade, Serbia, and we have 30 engineers, and we build mobile apps, and we build software, and we build website and e-commerce. And we would like to see to help you out if you're building a software. We would love to help you out with those kind of things.
Yeah, again, I'm going into a meeting. Can you just maybe send me some information?
Okay, well, yeah, I can call you next week too, but I can send you some information. What is your email?
It is samb@tire.com.
Okay, I'll just send you some information. Thank you. Okay, click. Now,
how many times are they going into a meeting when you call?
A lot of times.
So many times when I cold call. So not everybody can be going into a meeting at the right time. So that's the prospect's way of deflecting. It's not that he's necessarily going into a meeting, that we'll dive into the don'ts of this, but just know that, buyers are liars. You're going to hear that a lot. And all prospects lie all the time. So just be, careful of what they tell you sometimes.
So what could I have done different here? What did you not like, and what do you feel like I could have improved upon? Because I get these kind of calls all the time.
Right.
They're, and a lot of times I can hear they're also reading a script too. And
right.
I'm like, oh God, please tell me something that's unique. But what could I have done different?
The greeting. Didn't really feel your smile. I mean, we're sitting next to each other, but I mean, you definitely feel that over the phone. The second one would be the rambling. I believe, sometimes as making a cold call, we feel like we have to talk more, and that's not the case, especially for somebody in a hurry. So I think those two were the biggest ones. It is more confrontational up front, feeling the presence, and then the second one, getting to the point a little quicker rather than rambling.
Great. So I'm taking some points, right? I'm learning here, and I'm taking the point, I should smile more. Should not ask them like, hey, did I catch you at a bad time? It's a way out, right? Or, if you're reaching on LinkedIn, and I hope I'm not disturbing, like, no, just go into your point. But I guess I could have asked you more questions, right?
Yeah.
I could have dig in, even though this is a short conversation. Sometimes this conversation is going to happen in the event, right? Face to face, but I could have probably asked some questions.
This has taken me back 8 years ago when I worked for the Phoenix Suns.
Oh, that's another fun fact about Sam, Phoenix Suns.
And we were making about 100 to 150 cold calls a day.
I used to do the same. Yeah.
I remember my script as you do that, and I don't know if this will help anybody or if somebody will feel comfortable using this. So, my name is Sam Busick. I'm with the Phoenix Suns. I promise I'll be brief. And then people dive into that once they get them on the call sometimes too. So short and to the point, again, as Alex talked about this sometimes too, it's not going to be a fit for everybody every time. And it is, you pivot sometimes and you try stuff that works. You have to be authentic as well. So that was mine that we used. My name is Sam Busick with the Phoenix Suns. I promise I'll be brief. People hear the Phoenix Suns. They obviously tend to listen a little bit more. But sometimes when you dive right in, they are busy.
Yeah, it's so redundant to ask a question. Is this a good time? How's the weather? Come on, get to the point, right? So I'm taking some mental notes here. So let me see if I can do it better here, correctly. Let me see if I can get that appointment. Again, a lot of times, whether you're initiating, to Marcus' point, not just a call, but LinkedIn, face-to-face, you're asking for 15, 20. Don't sell everything. It's tempting, right? Sometimes it's going to be perfect timing. Yes, people are ready to go. But right now, concentrate on 15, 20 minutes of their time so you can start digging into it. All right, let's do hopefully better a way or correct way here. We're getting into the role play again. Ring, ring.
Hi, this is Sam with Red Tire.
Hi, Sam. This is Alex calling from Aleks LLC. Thank you for taking my call. I promise I'm going to be brief. We're actually software solution builders out of Belgrade, Serbia, and we would love to know if you're currently working on a project that you want to see some ideas being automated, or maybe building a software that we can help you with.
Well, we looked at it 6 months ago. Didn't have it in the budget for the time.
Okay, you didn't have the budget?
Yeah.
Okay. Was it do you have a house team, or did you go with an outsourcing team?
We looked about outsourcing. We did not pull the trigger just because COVID really hurt our business, but it's something that we would be revisiting.
Okay, great. What would you say the biggest challenge besides the budget was?
Timing. We're extremely busy, just not really understanding the process of how much of the heavy lifting we would have to do either. So just if I had a clean game plan, it may be helpful.
Okay. Well, talking about timing, I know you're busy. I wanna let you go. I would love to see if you can set up maybe 15 or 30 minutes next week to dive in a little bit deeper about your project, and maybe uncover some ways that we can actually help you, and maybe even do an even better job than the previous team. And if you have 15 or 30 minutes next Tuesday at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern time, would love to send you an invite, and maybe invite some of the people from your team. And we would love to ask you a few questions and learn more about how we could help you out.
I'll give you 10 minutes.
10 minutes will take. Sam, what is the best email for you?
samb@tire.com.
Excellent. I'm wishing you a great day, and I'm going to send you an invite right now, and we'll talk next week. Click. Okay. What did I do better this time?
I caught this. I don't know if I caught this the first time. Did you mention Belgrade the first time?
Yes.
You did mention Belgrade?
Yes.
Okay, maybe I just heard it again.
Yeah, okay.
I like having fun sometimes. This is Alex from Belgrade, Serbia, best basketball in Europe.
Okay.
I like stuff like that. Prospects love that stuff.
Yes.
And, you know, if you're calling a company that has an office in Denver, you know, it's okay to throw those up front. You know, as we talk about, you know, being short to the point, that just means you have 10, 15 seconds to get their credibility. If you can use one of those stories,
Yes.
if you can use that. So you hit it higher that time. And I think it's maybe because you smiled a little bit more.
Right.
I didn't try to pay to that. Other than that, I think you were respectable. You didn't ramble too much of what next steps were. You were looking to get a meeting. And I felt that in the call, not saying he's trying to sell me something, but he's trying to get a meeting with me.
Right.
So I was more intrigued. I was more interested to discuss with you rather than, hey, 30 developers, we did this project. No, I'm looking to get the meeting set. I think that made me more receptive.
So that came across, right? So guys, as you can hear it, it's so easy to get caught up in your script, but it's about asking an open-ended question. We talked about it in one of the previous meetings, open-ended versus close-ended, right? And if you can get that conversation going, then you're appearing genuine, you're appearing credible, and you're getting some tidbits and you're getting some pain points potentially, right? So maybe you wrote down, okay, it's the budget, the issue, but they're open to do outsourcing business. And, you know, these are good nuggets of, you know, value that you can dig in on the next call.
And that was, I thought, by asking only 2 or 3 questions, that was enough. You didn't ramble 4, 5, 6 questions. You didn't keep me on the phone too long.
Right.
But you had me intrigued now.
Okay.
Right. So without me asking questions back to you, you know, you didn't ask me the 4 or 5 questions, and I felt it was like another sales call.
Right.
I felt, okay, hey, what does this guy do again? Okay, let me
Right.
take this meeting with him.
Right. Right. And, you know, one more thing I'm going to add, guys, you're setting up appointment, whether you're reaching out through LinkedIn or through an email, don't ask, you know, sometime next week, you know, when you're creating call to action, set an appointment. When is it good for you on next week? That's okay. You know, what I like to do, hey, is Tuesday good or is Thursday better at 10 o'clock? Absolutely be polite. You just say, well, actually Wednesday. But when you start mentioning the time and the date, that's when they actually, a lot of times, if you don't ask that, they're going to say, let me get back to you with the date. And then you go into the whole another thing, you cannot reach out to them. Because if I would ask, oh, you know, we would love to set up a call then next week. And, you know, if you leave it to the customer, to the prospect, okay, I'll get back to you at the time, you know, they might disappear.
Well, exactly. And oftentimes in the States, I hear this one, well, just give me a call in 6 months. And right then and there, I think they're not interested.
Right.
So I address that on the call. I say, and I use this verbiage. I say, Alex, I appreciate you sharing with me. Is that a polite way of you telling me you're not interested? And it flips people. It flips the script.
I think this is a great segue in a little bit of an American culture. And it's okay to be direct. As long as you're polite, it's okay to be direct. And you're telling me 6 months. Are you just trying to be polite? Or, you know, is there a real hurdle here?
Yes is my favorite word. No is my second favorite word sometimes. The last thing I want to do sometimes is just be chasing somebody. So I think that it's leverage. I mean, and as everybody knows the importance sometimes of that, it's just, you know, it's bringing the prospect back. Say, hey, you know what? Call me back in 3 years. I've heard it all on the phone. And I just say, I appreciate you sharing that with me.
Right.
Is that a polite way of you telling me you're not interested in my service?
Right.
And that flips them.
Right.
It's gold.
I love that. I love that. Hopefully people are taking notes here. Do we have any questions? Let me just check. Not yet. Okay. So closing, right? We're pretending this is a scenario where, you know, we set up that time next Tuesday at 10 o'clock Eastern time. As you guys know, America has four time zones. Sam is actually in Arizona, which is the Pacific time. It's like California now, but winter time, it's like Denver. It's a little crazy. But what I want to set the stage here is just closing. You know, we want to do a mock demo, which obviously takes a long time, and we're going to set up a very special workshop just about the demo, because just that thing alone, we have to dig in a little bit deeper. But we do want to give you a general overview of some of the don'ts and do's when you do a demo. Again, we're going to dig in a little bit deeper. So this is a much shorter version of a demo. So, but let's say you told me 10 o'clock, right? I got an interest, right? The budget was an issue. and you're open to outsourcing. So we're doing that 10 o'clock thing. But again, what you can do, before the demo, before that call happens, sometimes, and I see it in the States too, but sometimes people are very nonchalant about that appointment readiness, right? You have to make sure that the calendar invite is sent correctly. I love to send it right away, and as the appointment or a demo is approaching, maybe a couple of days before that, I like to remind them, but not like, oh, I'm just sending an email. I'm just reminding you about it. No, I would like to add, send something of value, right? So this way, I am reminding them, but I'm always providing some value, right? Versus like saying like, hey, I'm just reminding you about the demo that's coming in 2 days. I'm like, hey, you're in automotive industry, Sam. Prior to our demo, I just want to send you a little bit more information about some of the software that other automotive companies are building. Perhaps it can be of value.
Could be an article, could be an award. Maybe for one of a startup company that maybe you were in a magazine for whatever. Just sharing this information. I think using the word sharing is very important in the States too. I think that comes off as just transactional. Using the word sharing. Hey, just wanted to share this article with you recently published about our company. That's it. Look forward to talking to you on Wednesday.
Love it. And then I also like to do, you guys send you Google invites, Zoom invites. It's very important to look at the attendees, right? Yeah, I talked to Sam, but all of a sudden he invited 2 more people. Well, look at their roles on LinkedIn, which you need to dig in, and we're going to talk about a little bit deeper. We talked about who signs the check. That's very important to understand the org chart. Who actually signs the check? So you have to be able to create value for all the people on the call. It's no longer just Sam if he invites other people, right?
Correct.
So you have to do that. And if you guys are following my slides here, we got Charlie Sheen here actually finally getting a meeting with Michael Gecko. He was cold calling, and he finally got a meeting with Gordon Gecko. It was a very interesting meeting. Gordon Gecko was not impressed, so he was looking for more value. He was looking for authenticity. It would be a good thing if somebody actually is like, yeah, you know what, I remember this movie, and maybe dig out the old VHS tape or something. Okay, so asking questions and listening, that's very important during the demo. So I'm not going to spend too much time here because we're going to do a quick role play. But one thing when you ask questions is you got to pay attention to the pain points, right? You will get, what are those pain points, and hopefully you can address them. The more you address them, the better chance you have to close that deal. And don't be afraid to ask for business. If you answer these questions, if you're covering all these pain points, Sam said it, be direct, ask for business. There's a way to ask business. There's a way to create sense of urgency, right? And hopefully we can touch on that right now. Okay, so this, I'm showing a photo of when actually Charlie Sheen was able to close a deal with Gordon Gecko, and got the paycheck. This was taking place in New York. Okay, so don'ts, quickly, don't use too much of a technical jargon, right? Don't use cliches. One thing is don't just focus on features, but talk about benefits, right? Well, what's a benefit to you? Don't be defensive if the competition is brought up. And do's, again, go over the pain points, be able to handle objections, and end the presentation or demo with a clear call to action. Create that sense of urgency. Okay, so the role play. Again, this is a very miniature, a very boiled down version of a demo, right? We'll have a presentation going much deeper into, well, what should you have during the presentation? But we want to touch on some of those points that we were talking about, what not to do. So again, I'm an Aleks LLC. I'm that Belgrade, Serbia outsourcing company. I was able to set up the time at 10 a.m. Eastern time with Sam Inc., with the CEO. And, we're doing this over the phone, right? And let's say we're doing over phone or Zoom, but, I'm going to say something like, ring, ring.
Hi, this is Sam.
Hey, Sam, it's Aleks calling back from Aleks LLC, the IT outsourcing company from Belgrade, Serbia. You told me to call back at 10 a.m. And I wanted to just go over those things that my company does. And like I said, we are building solutions, we're building mobile apps, we're building e-commerce sites. And
yeah, what was your name of your company?
It's Aleks LLC.
Okay.
Yes, and we're calling because we feel we can help you out to build solutions. If you're building software, if you're building an e-commerce site, if you're building a mobile app, I think we can help you. We would love to.
Alex, I only have like 5-10 minutes left.
Okay, well, you know, maybe you know, I don't know. Are you guys building something right now, or maybe we can e-commerce site or mobile app or anything like that?
We looked at it. I'm going to have to put you in contact with my web designer.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's fine. I guess we can talk to the web designer, and can we talk to him next week?
I'll have her just reach out to you.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Sam.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
You too. Thank you, Alex.
All right, bye. All right. A lot went wrong here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I was actually trying to.
You lost me.
Yes. Yeah.
You lost me.
I lost you. Yeah.
You lost me.
So this can happen, right? This can happen. You know, you can get a little bit nervous and stuff like
Let's
that.
take a question. I think there is one
Yeah,
question. I
there's a
just wanted to
question.
kind of be right on.
Is it good to send an agenda in advance before the appointment to the prospect?
Great question. Do you
Great
wanna take
question.
that?
Absolutely. And I think Alex is going to get into that
Right.
and the right way to do it. But whoever asked that question, absolutely.
What's the name of the person?
Ivana, great question.
question,
Absolutely needs to be just up front, because as Alex is going to do it the second time around, setting that agenda up front definitely gives you credibility from a standpoint, but also me as the business owner, I know what we're discussing now. Because as a business owner, I have a lot of stuff going on. The last thing I want to do is forget what the meeting's about. So 100% you should send over an agenda.
Great question.
Bullet points, not a paragraph. Bullet points, exactly what your company does, maybe 4 or 5. You don't need a paragraph. People in the States, and I think people all around, appreciate bullet points. Do you want to add to that? And I know there's another
absolutely.
question.
So we were talking about reaching out before the meeting, even if they accepted the meeting. One way is to add, hey, here's the agenda. Feel free to add any more points that you want to discuss. You're reminding them about the meeting. You're adding value about the agenda, and you give them a chance to add anything else. Great things can happen when you add the agenda early. Please do so, and that's why, to your Sam's point, let's do it correct way. Any other questions from the audience?
So, Koraka, a channel and handmade colors asked. She said, "Hi guys, thanks for doing this. Do you have some advice for us who sell online? We have our own website, an Etsy shop. Have engaged more time on Facebook and Instagram. Still, there are times when our sales run low."
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, like I said, this could be the whole workshop in itself. But I would say go into the prospecting, right? So there's different ways. So when you sell in Etsy, right? Obviously, this is more of a B2C. Understand your audience, right? And do more prospecting. Understand your audience. Understand who is your typical buyer. Who is the buying persona. Again, without knowing exactly what is the business, I don't know if you can be more specific, but my thing is always going to be understand your audience, do the prospecting, and feel free to reach out with direct messaging. But direct messages or DM is going back to Mark, alternative ways, DM is a big thing. Instagram is becoming a really big thing. People are selling on Instagram. So research your audience, but be genuine, be authentic, like Sam said, and then send a DM.
And I would agree. I would just say be proactive, like you said. Reach out, try different methods. If it's not working, or if it is working, you don't want to be caught behind. So proactively reach out definitely would work. Absolutely.
So great. Thanks, Ivana, for bringing that up. And please reach out. We're going to share our LinkedIns. If you have some questions, we can be more specific. Okay, so let's do a demo role play again. Very boiled down version, very quick version, but some of the things that were touched here, Ivana said agenda. So first of all, before we even get into the thing, yes, set up the agenda, be ready to have a structured call. And let's do it again. Again, we are doing it kind of to a phone call. This could be Zoom or a Google Meet. So ring, ring.
Hi, this is Sam.
Hey, Sam, this is Aleks calling from LLC. Thanks for taking my time again today. We spoke last week.
Oh, yeah, you're the tennis player. Yeah, you're the tennis player.
You're giving me 10 minutes today.
Yeah, that's right.
10 minutes today, yes. Tennis player from, you know, the home of the best player in the history of the world in tennis, Novak Djokovic, right? But Sam, quickly housekeeping before we do this call. You know, we have 10 minutes. I sent you the agenda. Did you get the agenda?
Yes, I did.
Excellent. Is anybody else joining from your team?
Nope, just me right now.
All right, excellent. Now I want to kind of discuss, you were mentioning that you guys were doing the projects, building a solution last year, and you had some issues potentially with the budget, but idea is still there. I wanted to see if you guys revisited that idea and, you know, potentially if you saw the market is maybe changing and if you're looking to add any more features into that solution.
Well, the sales have been down, so we're looking to pivot, and we're looking for alternative ways to connect with our customers. So this was something that was on the budget.
Excellent. So you see this more of a sales tool?
Absolutely, for us. Yeah.
Excellent. We actually, you know, I didn't say it last time because you were very busy, but we have 30 engineers, and we do have actually projects that are in automotive industry. You know, I do want to share you something from some of the things that we did for our clients that are in automotive industry. But most importantly, you know, we do want to tell you some of the benefits of working with us. You know, we're absolutely cost savvy, but we also want to make sure that we build.
How much is it going to cost me, Aleks?
It's gonna cost, like, once we actually learn about the solution that we're going to build, and once we actually finalize the scope, we're going to be able to send you the proposal. But I can tell you that it's going to be very aggressive prices, and we want to make sure that we save you some money in this project.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So, Sam, can I ask you, like, who is actually making a decision in your company when it comes to this kind of project?
Everything will roll up to me.
Excellent. Okay, so we do the obviously a spec, we do the proposal, and then we have a clear call to action. When would you like to start the project? You know, we set up the some kind of timeline, and then create a clear call to action. Obviously, like right now, we're boiling down the version of a demo, but we wanted to touch on some of those things, right?
Yeah.
So what is different with this kind of call, you know, versus the previous call?
This call now, so we're out of role play, right?
Right.
You're just on a roll.
Yeah, I'm on a roll.
You have your own business, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think first off, I probably put you in a tough spot by saying I only had 10 minutes, and it goes back to Ivana's question.
Right.
And you do this all the time when you call me, or if I'm on a meeting with you, is, you know, when you send over the email and you ask for 30 minutes. So, and you ask on the call, as you say, is 30 minutes still good with you?
Right.
And what you did right there is you said, is 10 minutes still good with you?
Mm-hmm.
So that was just taking notes. That gives you credibility right away.
Right.
You set the agenda. I think that's very important. You followed up persistently, and you asked the right questions. I didn't feel that you were selling me. I feel that you were trying to help my business rather than just pitch a product to me.
Yeah, and again, you can ask a lot of questions. We don't have time. We will be running out of time. That's why I'm rushing a little bit. But I would say ask a lot of questions, right?
One of my favorite, and you handled this great too, is one of my favorite questions I get in the States is how much is it going to cost me? How many times have we heard that?
Right.
Is how many times? And there's a couple ways I handle that.
Right.
It's two different ways. The first one I go is I just say, whoa, you know, you have to act. I go, you're on page 10 right now. I'm still on page 4.
Mm-hmm.
How about we take a couple steps back and we revisit that? And I'm happy to share with you down the road.
You set the pause yourself.
Yeah, you have to. Mm-hmm. You have to. And then there's another one when you get really confident is you just tell them it's probably going to be more expensive than you want to pay. And you just create that doubt in their head that they see that it's not as bad as it was.
So say that again.
It's probably more expensive than you want to pay.
Okay, and where does that lead?
It's psychology. It's that EQ psychology.
Right.
Is that, you know, as you're selling, it's probably more than you want to pay.
Okay.
And it just works wonders.
Okay.
And then the other one I just shared was hey, you know, you're on page 10 right now. I'm still on page 4.
So you're setting the pace.
Correct.
Okay.
How about we take a few steps back? And then at the end of the meeting, I'm happy to share with you some pricing.
Right. So like I said, we're going to do a longer version of this where you're uncovering the pain points. But then at the end of the call, go over those pain points that they had, make sure that you answer those, and then have a clear call to action. Yeah, there's a question.
So, hello, Milic Pugicevic asked, how do you know that something is a good fit to you call for your business? Did you do some preparation, investigation, etc.? Can you explain how does this preparation for first contact works? Thanks.
Yeah, so this is going back to that prospecting. Absolutely, do a good job researching the company, researching. So in US, figure out what is the industry first of all, and figure out if you can understand who actually is the buyer, who is the decision maker, and then you have every right, if you ask Sam, like on that first call, to have time to go into the demo. I would have probably, and this is a great question by Milic, I would have probably said, Sam, should we invite any other people?
Right.
Are there any other decision makers? So I kind of clarified that he's a decision maker as a CEO, but great question. You want to have the right audience, right? So when you're doing that initial prospecting, whether it's through a direct message on LinkedIn or email, absolutely feel free to ask, should there be anybody else on this call? If they're saying like, no, just me for right now, maybe they want to screen you. It's called screening. They want to just kind of hear about it before they push it to the uppers, the decision makers. But somebody's going to say, you know what, I do want to invite my VP of engineering or, my CTO. I would like for them to hear the presentation as well.
And here's maybe, I don't know if this was pertaining to the question, but so often when we are cold calling and prospecting, I would hear this. Even when I worked for the Phoenix Suns, Sam, how did you get my number? How many times do we get that?
Oh, we get that. What do you say to that?
My receptionist left a note on my desk. It's almost like you play, you don't know where it comes from.
Right.
So I had a note on my desk to give you a call. I'm not sure where it came from.
Right, and that's with the cold calling. A lot of times on LinkedIn, hey, you reach out on LinkedIn. We
More
have
direct
common contacts.
Yeah.
We have common contacts. If you are building your profile on LinkedIn, there's a really good chance you're going to have a common contact. So you can just say, hey, I'm reaching out to those people in the industry, and you were in a list of those people that could be potentially my network.
Yeah.
So yeah.
One more.
Okay.
So Vladimir asks, do you have any advice on how to get the buyer into helping you develop your startup, giving the feedback, be involved in creating the app, and later get to use it?
I didn't hear the question.
Yeah, can you repeat it? Yeah.
Do you have any advice on how to get the buyer into helping you develop your startup, giving the feedback, be involved in upgrading the app, and later get to use it?
It comes. I think it's pain.
Can you just repeat that? Yeah, for the audience, the question.
I didn't hear. I know the answer.
Right. Okay.
They can see it. So.
They can see it.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's creating an urgency and it's creating pain. And it goes back to asking the right questions. Right. What's not working? Why is it not working? How long has it been working? Yeah. How long has it been missing out on that? So it's asking the right questions. You want to go?
No, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think no matter what kind of industry you are, no matter what kind of call you are, doesn't matter if it's a cybersecurity or IT outsourcing, you have a SaaS product. When you're talking to your customer, you can always ask, how was your previous experience, right, with a similar product, right? And ask them what worked and what didn't, right? They're going to absolutely, sometimes you want to give kudos to the competition, but then really spend time, what did not work? And they're going to tell you, right? So that's something that, and you can ask that for any kind of service. How was your previous project? What worked? What didn't? How was your previous SaaS product for retail? How was your previous e-commerce?
0 to 10. 0 to 10. How was it? It was
and
an
you
8.
cannot use 7.
Yeah,
and that's a new thing.
Right.
Likes to do that,
but
you cannot use 7.
In 0 to 10, how did it go? It was an 8. Well, what could have been better? And to that was a great question, though.
Yeah.
And I always think about this too, though, as we're prospecting, good cold calling. On top of that question is you just have to have that mentality that when you pick up that phone and call them, it's you're doing them a favor.
Right.
You're here to provide a solution for them. You have to have that confidence going into it, but also being friendly. It's their lucky day that you called, and you might get hung up on 99 times out of 100, but that one could lead to the next 5. So It's their lucky day when you're calling or you're reaching out to them.
Love it. Okay, nurture. Following up, we're kind of approaching the top of the hour, but I guess we have some really good questions, so we kind of counted that in. I think nurture is a really important part of the sales process, because no matter how good a salesperson you are, and no matter what kind of tactics you use, sometimes, a lot of times, it's just gonna come down to you need to follow up, right? And again, the big thing with nurturing and following up is keep building relationships, keep adding value to your follow-ups, keep identifying the stakeholders. I dig out some of the information from HubSpot in 2020, going back to the sales cycle, right? People sometimes get very impatient, right? They want to, you know, I'm a top salesperson. I want to close the deal on the first call, on the first message, on the first demo. Sales cycles B2B for SaaS products in US on average are 83 days, right? So this is almost like 3 months. And this is probably SMB space, small and medium-sized businesses, they call it SME in Europe. On an enterprise side, this can be 7 months or longer for 6-figure deals, right? So you have to be patient. You have to keep following up. You have to keep understanding who are the stakeholders. Stakeholders change, right? People leave the company. Make sure you're staying on top of that. Be patient. Don't let the things fall through the cracks, you know, and, you know, good things are going to happen. So a couple of don'ts from when you're following up, just checking in, right?
Right.
No additional value, inconsistent frequency, right? I forgot to follow up, and then I follow up in 6 months. You forgot that I even exist, right? You guys have CRMs. Please update those. That's important. Do's, we talked about that. Follow up with value. Always find additional value. Don't just follow up for the sake of following up. Wish happy holidays, right? You know, and generally wish. Don't just send a photo, you know, write a genuine note. You know, even if it's an email, you know, something that's pertaining to their business, to their location, you know, maybe they gave you a little piece of information that you can be a genuine human being. Provide updates on your own company, right? That's a good one. When you're following up, hey, I just want to tell you what we're doing. We're doing another project here. And
more question.
Yeah, there's a question.
So Maria asked, at what point should I stop following up with the client if I am not getting a response?
I love that one. I love that. Who asked that question? Maria?
Yeah.
Maria, too often do we chase the prospect sometimes, right? We never know if 6 emails, 7 emails, 8 emails, 9 calls, 10 calls is good. Here's what I do sometimes. I just go, I've tried you a few times. Should I put you down for no?
Very direct.
It closes them out.
Right.
Just get the closure. Should I put you down for a not interested?
Right.
And then because it's happened to me,
right.
where they've come back and said, hey, I apologize. I've been really busy. So my answer to that would be, there's not a set number of how many times you should or reach out. But if you feel that you're not getting anywhere with them, just send them an email. If you have their email, hey, I know you're busy. Should I put you down for a not interested right now?
Right. Yeah, I do have another theory, and I like that, being direct. You know, you guys have your CRMs, hopefully, you know, automated the, you know, HubSpot or something like that. Just put them in a newsletter and keep nurturing them. The reason is things change.
Mm-hmm.
People leave, right? And sometimes there's another decision maker.
Oh yeah, good point.
But that's a great question, Mario. So you gotta, you know, watch out for your bandwidth. How much time you're actually spending here. So if your cadence was, you know, once a month, and then at one point you're just seeing this is not going anywhere, put them in this very low bandwidth nurture. Just wish them happy holidays and stuff like that. It's gonna take you, if you have HubSpot, if you have some other newsletter, you know, it's gonna take you only 2 seconds to add their email address. But you know, it's a numbers game. You know, out of those hundreds of contacts, you know, sometimes things change, and you might get a lead. But don't put an effort after, you know, like you said, maybe you know, I like to put like maybe 3 to 6 months.
Yeah. Because
that's an average sales cycle. But after 6 months, if I see nothing is happening, I put them in a low bandwidth, you know, newsletter or something like that.
Mm-hmm. But and also too, I think getting closure, you're 100% right. You want to make sure somebody else steps in that position. You're going to want to reach out to them. But I think help getting to know faster.
Mm-hmm.
So not to come back to mine, is just say, you know, I know you're busy. You have a lot going on. Should I just put you down for not interested?
Right.
I think that gives you credibility as well to stand and get an answer from them.
Let me ask you, were you able to, when you ask that kind of question, have you ever seen it changes the dynamic
Not to say 50-60%, but it's changed. And what else was I doing if not? I was just reaching out, sending an email after email after email, you know, and I've got the answer no, no, just no. Like
you were able to, okay, well, tell me a little bit more what
it's an open conversation now.
Good.
And I would follow on there's a whole nother conversation there, but it gets a conversation flowing.
Good.
Because they're just getting that same email. Should I put you down for a not interested question mark?
I actually got an interesting one, and talking about authenticity. Somebody set me up. They're following up. Again, I think it was like 3 to 6 months, and they said, "I just want to make sure you're okay." Right?
Yeah.
I didn't want to say, "Are you okay?" Because
that's a great one.
Yeah, it's like, did you slip and fall or something like that?
It's fine. It's funny. That works.
It caught my attention.
Yes.
Caught my attention.
Yes.
Right? And I can see that if that person sends those kind of funny ones, you know, 100 of them, you know, few people are going to respond.
Yes.
It's a numbers game, guys. So, all right, last nurture role play. Again, hopefully people are not tired of the Aleks LLC, Aleks DO in Serbia, but this one is going to be setting the stage. We did that demo, right? I sent a proposal. This happens all the time, right? You send a proposal out and you're waiting for what we say in the US, the sign at the dotted line, right?
Yeah.
Is to get things going. So again, the big idea, you know, is how do you follow up? How do you keep nurturing? So we're gonna go into this role play. I'm calling you after that demo. I sent you a proposal.
You sent me a proposal now?
I sent you a proposal.
Okay.
And you know, I want to close it.
Okay.
That needs a new pair of shoes, Sam.
Understood.
All right. Role play. Ring, ring.
Hi, this is Sam with Red Tire.
Hey, Sam, it's Aleks from Aleks LLC. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Alex.
Good, good. Listen, we did that demo for you, and we sent you a proposal. I'm just checking in, you know, see how the things are going. If you guys, you know, made a decision, and yeah.
You know, we started to look. It was a little bit higher than we wanted to pay, and we started to look at some other companies.
Okay. Well, you know, I mean, is there anything else we can do, like to, you know, work on this proposal?
Right now, I think it just comes down to price. I think it's probably a little bit more than we want to pay.
Okay. Well, you know, we'll check back next month and see if the things change.
Yeah, down the road, that'll work with me.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Outside the role play. Okay. What did you not like here? A lot.
Yes and no, but I want to dive into real quick. When you get that, it's more than I want to pay.
Right.
How many times have you heard it's more than I want to pay? It's more than I'm willing to spend.
A lot.
You hear that a lot. And here's the way I handle that one. And I know we're still in the wrong. I know.
Yeah.
We're still going in the wrong. I use that one for a reason, just to point this out. Why do you think we charge more? Ask them that.
Absolutely.
Why do you think we're more money? Have me tell you that.
Right.
It just gives you credibility. You don't want to be there discounting your price on the spot.
Right.
Why do you think we charge more? It's a great question. I asked you because we're the best darn developers you're going to talk to. You got.
So you will have your pain points, and this is where you position, you know, into the benefits for the customer. Keep pounding with the benefits, features, and then transition to benefits. Benefits is how those features are making Sam's life easier. How they're going to help him with the sales tool. So hopefully we can nail that down in a correct way. Okay, I got some notes, so let me try correct way. Ring, ring.
Hi, this is Sam with Red Tire.
Hey, Sam, it's Aleks LLC. How are you doing today? Following up on that call we had last week.
Yeah, no, just we're back in the office, so good time to talk today.
Excellent, excellent. So we sent you a proposal, and you know, we wanted to make sure that you understood the proposal, but most importantly, we understand how important this tool, sales software is for you. And I wanted to also, you know, tell you that we did have a way to build the feature that you were looking for salespeople, and we want to actually make sure that happens, you know, once we build this software for you.
Yeah, and how long is the agreement?
The agreement is for 6 months.
Okay.
And right now is the end of June. We would love to see if we can actually get the things going. First week of July, we actually allocated resources in the team. And how
long does it take, I'm sorry, to start?
It takes 6 months.
Perfect.
Yes, we would love to see if we can get it going in the first week of July.
Huh?
We good?
Yeah, we're good.
Excellent. Out of role play.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cleaner. I like the cleaner. I like the agenda up front. When I do this, because it happens all the time too, is when they're asking you the questions, I think sometimes, and you handled it good because you've been on many sales calls, is when you hear that is when I'm asking you the question back, when I'm asking you the question, if I'm selling you, I ask them back, just curious, why did you ask that question? Because, and I didn't go there, I might be taking a vacation next week and I have to push the project back. So as a sales rep, as a business development rep, owner, it's never a wrong time to just ask the question. Just curious, why are you asking that question? And it may lead to a whole nother discussion. Granted, that conversation we had was transactional. It went smoothly. But I think sometimes just using that question back to them, hey, that's a great question. Why do you ask that? And they tell you that on the spot, and it gives you some time to kind of regroup and state what you want to next.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, you do want to go over the pain points. You do want to have a clear call to action. You do want to dig into maybe a feature or a benefit, that they were looking for, rather than just
right.
checking out.
And there's so much conversations, right? You and I just jumped from, we just jumped from step 1 to step 12, and you went from good to bad. It is a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. But the points are there. And again, we're going to dive into each one of these, in a much bigger detail. But right now, we just want to kind of set the stage. Hey, you have that initiative and that first call and the first prospecting. You do get that demo, you do get that sales call, and then you're following up to that sales call.
Can I ask a question? Have you guys yet gone through calling through the gatekeeper to get a hold of somebody? Has that been discussed in any of your meetings yet?
That's a really good
one. Well, I'd like to just share that with the group.
You just want to explain a little bit what's a gatekeeper?
The gatekeeper, sorry. So you're calling on Canon photography, right? They're a good prospect. You've identified them. The only number you can find is their main number. So you're going to call the number to try to get a meeting, right? And you look it up, and who answers first? The receptionist, the technical person, and the question is, how do you get to that CEO?
Right.
And you can go on to 30 different ways to do this. Here's the one I do. Aleks. I just say the name of the CEO. I act really important, and I just say the owner.
That's a really good.
I just say the name, and I get transferred to them better than saying, and this may not work every time, and it may not be your style. I just wanted to share that with the group that sometimes the best way to start a cold call as well is just call directly to the CEO and ask for them. Not please, not how's he doing. Ask for the name and get transferred to them.
Right.
I just wanted to share that. That was a little bit off topic there,
but that's a great one.
So that's early on in the stages.
You will encounter, the gatekeepers, somebody who is, standing in front of the decision maker. So, act important. You are important. Act confident, and they're going to put you through. Do we have any other questions? No. Okay. So call to action, we are asking you to evaluate your own sales process. You want to see what works, what is not. Hopefully some of the things that we gave you today, can help you enhance that sales process. But then really spend time improving features versus benefits, right? Figure out what are the features of your SaaS product, or, your software solution, or your outsourcing company, but then what are really the benefits to your customer, to existing customers, or every next prospecting call that you make, any next prospecting message that you send, any next prospecting email that you send. Think about, am I just sending the information that's already there, right? Or am I relating my features to how I'm going to make a life easier of that prospect?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the agenda that you talked about. It's the credibility. It's being authentic, and it's having a clear path of beginning to end. So
So again, reach out if you need help. Here's our LinkedIn profiles. If you guys have any specific questions, we are very active on LinkedIn. Like I said, it's a very American way to communicate and to prospect. Please do so. You can also reach out to me at aleks@PreCog Security.com, and I'm also very active on Instagram at Alexander303. And with that being said, I want to check just one more time if there is a question. Okay. And if there is no questions, we are just going to thank you again for your time. We want to. Oh, there's a question.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Keep going, guys. We're here.
So, can you share one situation or seller's tactic where you bought a product or service you didn't plan on?
This is somebody's flipping it on us.
Yeah.
Okay, I do feel. Okay, I have a story.
I do too, and it goes back to mine that buyers are liars, and so you may have bought a product that you didn't want, that you sold to them, but I think at the end of the day, they bought for a reason. They bought you. I don't want you to ever feel bad for selling something, right? I remember when I worked for the Phoenix Suns, and I sold tickets to the person who bought the nicest seats they could have, and for that second, it was just the experience that you gave them. Never did I feel wrong for selling them. That would be my story. So
yeah, my story is I bought a car. And this was in Denver, almost 15, 20 years ago. I bought a Mazda 3, and it did not have automatic windows.
Okay. Oh wow.
It was a lot in the US.
Yeah.
It was a new car, but the salesperson was so good.
Yeah.
And I remember how much I appreciated the sales process. He made it so smooth, like they're your family, right? And I bought a car, the thing's assigned.
You still remember that too?
And I remember.
You still remember that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the car, the windows were not automatic, and I was like, what a great salesperson, right?
Yeah.
He was just so smooth.
And you probably told people along the lines that he probably made sales on top of that.
Absolutely. So to answer the question, yes, I bought it. But why did we buy it? Because the sales process was smooth. Person was confident. We actually, I felt almost like he's a friend.
Yeah.
And the car sales, it goes for a while. It wasn't like it was bought on the spot. I was sitting there in a car dealership for a good couple hours, and I went home. Yes, with a new car, but with the manual windows.
Yeah. And one more to add on top of that, not a story, but thinking of the philosophy that sometimes when you're calling somebody, you're selling something that they didn't even know they had a problem for yet. Right? How many times have you brought a product in that they weren't spending money on yet? So that's the idea. So that's a great question, and that's the way to think about it. But too often not that you're selling a product that somebody doesn't have yet, and you just have to have that mentality that it's their lucky day when you call them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was Steve Jobs that said, sometimes you have to create that need, right? Sometimes it's not obvious.
Right.
So it is a balance of listening to your customer, but also creating a need. So with that being said, I want to see if there is one more question. Excellent. So there's more questions. I guess people enjoyed it.
So Danila asked, how do average American customer reacts to foreigner accents during the sales process?
Wow.
Should we hire somebody with a perfect English accent?
Ooh, this is a great question, Danilo. I actually definitely want to dig into it, but I want to give Sam a chance to answer that first. Being American-born American.
Right. It's a great question. I thought I was going to get that question asked early. Like first question of the day. That's a great question. I can't answer for everybody, right? But I think there's this looming value now of Europe, and now people in the States are realizing that companies are going to Europe to outsource some services. So the confidence, just have the confidence. Should you hire somebody else, you can always hire us. I'm just kidding, but seriously. And just with that being said, though, it's having the confidence on that call. Maybe their English is broken. Throw a joke out there. I live down the street, not a joke, but give the testimonial, home of Nikola Jokic or Novak Djokovic. I think when people can relate to that, they appreciate that so much more. So if you don't sound like a robot. Right. I think sounding like a robot as an American, if I sounded like a scripted robot, sounds way worse than a person with an accent.
So great question, Danilo. I'm really glad that you brought it up. And let me take a step back. The reason why we do this in English, and even before Sam came here, English is very important. For 30 years, I kind of developed one part of my brain, just thinking in English, in American English. unfortunately for us, Serbian and English do not have a lot of overlapping.
Right.
It's two totally different languages, from words, grammar, slang, dynamic, rhythm. So you definitely have to work on your English, and then if you sell in the US, you know, American English. So to answer your question, but I kind of like what Sam did, was be authentic. It's okay to have an accent, but you do have to work on your vocabulary. You do have to work on, you know, American way of channeling and talking about your product. I would articulating the argument for them to buy the product. I'll give you another example, and I actually, so some of you guys might notice that I have an accent. I definitely can hear that I have an accent. For some of you guys, like, oh, you know, he probably doesn't have an accent. I do have an accent, but I'm still working on my English. And what I do is I actually let that work in my advantage.
Right.
To Sam's point, it allows you to tell a story. Americans like to be entertained. Tell them a story, right? And, you know, allows me to tell a story that, you know, I was born in Serbia, and, you know, as long as you can make it authentic, but at the same time showing that you do understand American market, you do understand American buyer. And just one more thing, it was Economist, the magazine, did a research. It was almost like 10 years ago, that American buyers, you know, they don't mind the accent, but they do not relate well to the accent that's coming from Asia. Yeah. They relate much better to European accent, right? So we gave you a few answers here, Danilo. Accent is not a problem, right? Allows you to tell a story about yourself, but make sure that you work on your vocabulary, make sure that you follow these steps, and then the accent does not become a hurdle. It becomes a great anecdote and a great way to tell a story. Yeah, I agree. People love storytelling. We are all in the business. I think we should have a slide. Sales is storytelling. Yeah, yeah, agree. Great question. Excellent question, Danilo. Any other questions? No more questions. Okay, well, that was a great one for last. Save the best for last. Having said that, again, we do appreciate your time. I'll wait for the announcement for the other dates when we're going to dig into all these topics from initiation, demo, and nurturing. If you guys have some questions, absolutely feel free to reach out. Want to see you guys prosper and succeed. I do want to thank Started, Tesla Nation, Digital Serbia, and USA for inviting us here. And with that being said, we're going to close on this presentation and wish everybody a great evening. And in Serbian, laku noć. Yeah, great questions, everybody, too. Thank you for participation. Great questions.